Hello everybody, DJ Flip here. I am going to get into a little bit of scratching with you here. For those of you who don't know about scratching, or you may have seen it before, basically you know that it's basically just taking a beat or a sample and just kind of moving the record back and forth and manipulating it by creating certain rhythmic patterns along to a beat. Now first we'll start with the baby scratch, which basically doesn't require any fader movement. It's just moving the record back and forth using no fader. The baby scratch has been incorporated by different kinds of other techniques using the fader, like the military scratch, where you're basically utilizing the same record movement technique, except you're incorporating some fader work into it, so it almost kind of sounds like a military drum pattern in a way, which kind of sounds like this. Okay, now the forward scratch. Forward scratch is basically is self-explanatory, meaning that you're only releasing the sound going forward when the record is moving clockwise. Backward scratch would be the opposite. You would basically only hear the sound going backwards. So when you're releasing the audio, you want to cut the fader off so you don't hear that. You don't hear the record being pulled back. So you release the audio, pull the fader back, and as you're cutting off the sound, you want to pull your sample back to its cue point. Same thing with the reverse. So you're only hearing me pull the sample back as I'm cutting the fader off while it's moving forward. The first transform scratch kind of sounded like this. And then different types of rhythm were added to utilizing the fader in a more rhythmic fashion, like this. And then of course more DJs have added various techniques to it, creating triplet sounds. Now, for flaring is actually the opposite of what the transform scratch does. Flaring was created by a guy named DJ Flair, who took the transform scratch and reversed it. So instead of starting with the fader closed, you would start with the fader open. So you would cut the sound in half. He would create halves. So it would kind of sound like this. So you're moving the record one time, but you're hearing two sounds. And then of course you add 2-click flares, 3-click flares, basically would create an orbit. The crab scratch was designed by a guy named DJ Qbert, who basically took his fingers and ran it across the side of the fader, like that. So it's basically kind of just almost doing like a snapping motion with your fingers, except you're doing it on the fader. so it almost kind of sounds like a ripple type of noise. It sounds like this. And depending on how much pressure you put on the record, you can create low tone crabs. Or by speeding it up, you can increase the pitch of the scratch. You can vary it up a little. Laser scratch was also popular by DJ Qbert. Laser scratch, basically it's self-explanatory. The way the sound is produced, it almost sounds like a laser from a video game. You can do 2 fingers, 1 finger. Chirps. Chirps were popularized by DJ Jazzy Jeff, where basically you're moving the record back and forth and you're cutting off the sound in the halfway through, going forward and backwards. So you're only hearing a little bit of sound each direction. Kind of sounds something like this. Tears, on the other hand, are kind of derived from doing the baby scratch, except the only difference is you're adding rhythmic stops in between. So you can either go forward or back, or at least. Or you can go forward and backwards 2 stops. Benefits of using a digital turntable like Pioneer CDJ-1000 is you can expand the scratching techniques by utilizing the advantages of having a CD player. You can take a loop, loop the sample, and because of the loop adjust feature that the CDJ has to offer, you can tighten it and then use cutting rhythm patterns with the crossfader. You can actually utilize a tweak scratch like what Mixmaster Mike has popularized. We're basically just kind of bending the pitch. The directional switch, okay, the original purpose was used more for playing the music in reverse. With a rapid stutter of going back and forth, you can actually manipulate the sample. Now, getting back to the divots in the side of the platter, not only can you use it to tweak the sample, but you can also create ripples, just like if you're doing hydroplane. And there you have it. So that's some basic scratching information that hope that you learned a lot from. So maybe you can go and use it, practice it. Of course, it takes a lot of practice to get the coordination down. Even I still have to practice every now and then. So, because sometimes when you're not doing it all the time, you get rusty. But I try to keep at it as much as I can. So, in that note, practice and enjoy.